Welcome back to season 2 of the Gaming on the Brain podcast. I'm Mark, joined as always by Glenn and Jamie.
Hello guys.
All right.
Today we're going to tackle that age-old playground debate, Nintendo versus Sega. However, as there's 3 of us and I don't like being left out, we're also going to bring a third player into the mix. So today I'm going to be representing Sony. Jamie's going to represent Nintendo, and Glenn,
Sega.
of course.
Go next.
Of course it's Sega.
Yeah, well, we have got the swear jar again.
Expect some debating, a bit of arguing, probably making absolutely zero progress, but definitely having a laugh on the way. We've got a ton to get through. Buckle up, grab a snack. We'll see you right after the intro.
Let's go!
You go gaming on the brain.
So I'm not really sure how this debate's going to really go today, but you know what it is? I'm going to start with Sony, and that's because all I have to say is one word. Tekken.
I want to say 2, Twisted Metal.
Well, fair enough. But
Great game.
what I probably, for me, I think today what I'm going to be talking about more is games that aren't necessarily developed by Sony, like Tekken, for example, Wipeout, stuff like that. But it's games that are synonymous with the Sony brand.
Yeah.
Like, you first played Wipeout likely on a Sony PlayStation. I know it came out on a Saturn, but it wasn't as good.
Yeah, everyone knows that from PlayStation more than Saturn, you know. Same as you'd say Tomb Raider as well.
I would be surprised if any games that we spoke about today weren't part of a series. And if any one of us has got a game that is not part of a series...
Glenn.
I have a game, yes.
Right,
I have
okay.
a game.
But in the main...
It stood out as back in the day, and people
Yeah.
won't know what it is. Or they'll get confused and think it's something else, which I'll have to explain.
But yeah, I mean, in general, I think if something's synonymous with a brand, it's normally a series.
Yeah, more,
Yeah,
yes,
of course,
definitely, yeah.
you know.
And for me as well, a lot of the ones I've got written down here, it's games that are still here today, well, bar a couple of them, unfortunately, which
But it's still in people's mind, at least. You know, you can say, well, at least they're in recent memory of not having recent installments.
Let's take one, for example, straight away. One of the first games that came out on the PlayStation, a launch game that I absolutely loved and adored. And we've spoke about a few times, Ridge Racer.
Oh, Christ, yeah.
Absolutely.
What a game.
The amount of love I have for that game is unbelievable, but especially like the original Ridge Racer was just so good. And when I look at like Sega, you had, you know, for you had like what, Sega Rally?
Yeah, Daytona being early, but Daytona here I am trying to defend Sega, but I've got to say I love Ridge Racer. Daytona did sort of drop the ball a little bit. The first Daytona game, where Ridge Racer, I think with all the extra content, you know, and the extra cars, and the fact that it played so close to the arcade, didn't look quite as good, but it played so great. I was like, I can't really argue with that. As a
Technically,
very early
it wasn't
game.
quite there, but damn, the gameplay was.
Oh, it was too.
I think
but
the
this
thing
is
is-
a launch game, you know.
You were talking about a game from Sega there that some of their games struggle with the fact that they're arcade ports, whereas back in the day on the old consoles, there's no saving. And we wanted an arcade port. We wanted arcade perfect. And then when something then come out that had more content for you to play through and more value for money, when they just released an arcade port, you like Crazy Taxi even for Sega. Brilliant fun.
Crazy
But-
Box and that, yeah.
Yeah, Crazy Taxi was pretty much exactly identical. Apart from, it did have some new modes in, though, in fairness.
Yeah.
Right?
Did I?
Did.
I think an extra driver as well in the first Crazy Taxi, which wasn't in the arcade.
Yeah, actually,
The rickshaw.
yeah, probably not.
You
the best
compare that to
example.
Ridge Racer or Gran Turismo, and it's not anywhere near.
I
that
always-
I know it's a different
It's a
game.
different kind of game, yeah.
I always think one of the reasons these home ports did so well was because, as I said, the price. We're not moving into the arcades on this, not purely, but the price of
done that.
the price to play an arcade game at the time, obviously, usually about £1 at least. And then versus paying 40 quid to own an excellent conversion for your console that had extra content. So that was creeping much closer, where it was like, well, I'm not even going to spend, I'll just save up for 40 weeks. And
I think I spoke about it once before, but the time that Ridge Racer blew me away was when I got my imported PSP. And I booted that up and I thought, Jesus, I'm playing a PlayStation 2 in my hand. And because the screen's smaller, it naturally felt faster, felt just amazing, and what a game.
Are you defending Sony here?
I've got nothing against Sony. Sony's
you're meant
great.
to say, well, Cruise and UFC was amazing.
I can't do it.
I quite liked a couple of them games, actually.
Well, to be fair, actually, if you play Cruise and Blast in the arcade, it's amazing. It's really good.
Oh, well, for one game I didn't mind was Top Gear.
Yeah, that was
Gear,
all right.
It was all right in the day.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad
got
game.
one of them, hi.
And now I'm defending Nintendo. Was it MRC Multi-Racer Championship or something like that? That wasn't bad. I tell you what, though, here's a story for you. Starting already, I'm not even one beer in. I remember when I was a naive 16-year-old, not a naive 43-year-old like I am now. I was in.
Glad to see you grown up.
I know. I was in. Do you remember that Chips in Sutherland Town Centre, the little shop at the top of Homeside?
It was. Wasn't that not called Marcliffe at one time?
It was Marcliffe at one time.
I think it became Chips. That was Amiga and it didn't work.
Well, I at the time I didn't have a PlayStation. I had an N64 at that point, and I had a steering wheel, so I was eager to get a new racing game because I think I had MRC.
You do like steering wheel, I don't.
Yeah. I think MRC, I'd outgrown that one. I was ready for something else. And I was in there and I seen a cartridge only GT64. And I was like, oh, wow, Gran Turismo's out 64. For Nintendo 64.
Clever.
There was no box or anything, so I couldn't and I didn't have the internet back then. So here's me. I bought Gran Turismo for the N64. I got it home and imagine how disappointed I was. It wasn't a bad game. It was actually Ocean Software. It was,
No, it's licensed,
but
it's called something called in Japan.
It was a decent game, but it was not Gran Turismo in any shape or form.
Since we're on the subject of Chips, or formerly Marcliffe, Mr. Marcliffe, proprietor man, right, with the tash, you know who you are if you're watching this, right? I wasn't trying to steal your games. I never tried to steal your games. He always used to watch us. I could not look for my games in peace. I'd be in that shop for half an hour, which is probably where the problem was. And I'd be like, wait, I'm looking at the Commodore games, and I'm looking at the Amstrad games, now the Amiga games. And the guy literally could not take his eyes off us. So I don't know if it was some unhealthy fascination.
Fancied, you know.
Maybe.
To be honest, when you guys mentioned Chips, I was thinking of the guys on motorbikes. So
Eric Estrada, God, lovely hair. Anyway, that's my twist about Marcliffe computing.
But so that was a bit of a dud. That GE64 wasn't a terrible game, but it wasn't.
There was a lot of sort of like second tier, third tier, even racing games on the 64 though. I mean, you see, I quite liked the cruising games, but because they were okay fun, they were not going to touch like the latest Sega. Say I'm plugging Sega now, or even Namco racing game, you know. So it didn't seem. I mean, didn't the N64? Oh, the N64 got wiped out 64, didn't it? But, you know, you didn't even seem to bother with it as much as the PlayStation version.
In that case, let us phone up, and I'll give one of you a chance to phone one in. Destruction Derby. Because again,
great game.
That it started on the PC and PlayStation, but you're probably more likely to play it on the PlayStation.
Now,
the Saturn version, actually, funny enough, Sega Lord X just did a review of that the other night.
I've seen it, I've watched it.
It's a pretty good port,
it's
but
got
it was
no
a bit
link on it. It said that's one thing, but that's a thing.
I think if you look at the era though you're sort of debating now, PS1, it took it to another level where Sega went to the Attitude Era we spoke about before on the show, and then PlayStation and Xbox again, they went to that kind of market. Well, I never think that Nintendo followed that, but what you then got was really great games that an adult at our age at the time could really enjoy. So Destruction Derby, Ridge Racer.
This is Jamie's mic drop moment. He's just going to walk out the room. Podcast's over.
Class man. Do you know what it is? Destruction
Mario
Derby.
Kart.
I've got 3 games, right? I've got 3 games when we PS1 at the time, and I've got Twisted Metal, Ridge Racer, Destruction Derby 1. Now, as a racing game, Destruction Derby just doesn't cut it. Because, I mean, the Tractor 2 now, it's not meant for that, but you know what I used to do? I should just put the ball mode on and just go in and just
reverse
the shit out of everything all the time. It's great.
Yeah, so I could just say that Diddy Kong Racing was a brilliant game.
Amazing, just a bit technically gimped. Unfortunately, it was terrible.
As was Mario Kart. You had a few mates round with a beer.
Diddy Kong out of different types of vehicles, didn't it? No, that's what made it there, you know.
Really weird when you played it on DS, because to get the turbo start, you had to blow in the mic.
I didn't know about that.
I'll raise you one then.
Go. Crash
Team Racing.
I'd never played
CTR,
it.
Aye. What a game on the place. Again, Sony, right, here we go. This is like a playground scrap. Right? So Crash Team Racing. I mean, look, personally, I was never a big fan of it. I prefer Mario Kart. I shouldn't say that.
My girlfriend at the time loved the Crash games.
Yeah.
So she went through all the 3 Crash games on PS1. She got Crash Team Racing. I think I bought her Crash 4. War. I can't remember what the subtitle was, the 4th one. Revenge of Cortex, maybe, I don't know. But I mean, she even got stuff for the PS2 and it come out of the earliest games.
I think, do you know what?
CTR was great, though.
I think you're right, because it might not have been a game on your list, but Crash was a really good 3D game.
Yeah.
So it was actually a really good 3D game.
It was, in theory, it was a pseudo 3D.
It is,
because
it's
you're
not
running
a
down
true-
a set track. It was a bit strange
like
initially.
Donkey Kong, but 3D and
It's
forward.
not truly free, though. It's not like a Mario 64. You know, it's still an
It
enclosed
was a
environment.
good way of introducing you to a 3D environment, although it was limited to like a 2D plane, essentially.
But it didn't do what Bubsy 3D did.
No. Thankfully, yes.
Yeah, that was true 3D in a manner of fashion.
Just jumping back into kart races, Glenn, Sonic Racing Transformed.
Is that DS or PSP?
Well, it's PC, PlayStation. It's on everything, but it's Sega.
yeah,
It's a Sega published game.
they
That's
just bought
right.
a new
Yeah, I've
game
seen it on DS
They have,
or
yeah.
GBA. In fact, I don't know.
Well, they've got a new racer out right now, as Sega Racing, and apparently it's every bit as good as Mario Kart World.
Well, I would say right now, Sonic Racing Transformed was arguably better than Mario Kart.
There's a game gear.
That is a hot, spicy take. But I do feel that Sonic Racing Transformed was so well polished, such a great game, and I love the fact that I revisited the different series.
I think
the different levels.
the thing is, not
Outrun, Afterburner, and that, and Golden Axe levels and all that.
a game like that, though, obviously you had a massive pedigree to build on, and obviously it had a massive original, Nintendo's original game that could build on and all by the idea, which did it perfect. So all it has to do is look at Mario Kart and say, right, what would it take from Mario Kart and what would it use from Sega's own proprietary stuff, their own IPs and that, So they always had enough material to work with to make a great game,
Who wants to take one? And
Can I just bring one more game up? Two actually, if I can. Rock and Roll Racing and Micro Machines. Completely different. Everything we mentioned.
Rock and Roll Racing.
I loved Rock and Roll Racing.
Yeah.
That definitely is
That's got a
synonymous
sequel,
with Nintendo.
That's got a sequel,
Yeah.
There's a sequel on the PS1.
Just that top-down style was just brilliant fun.
Asphalt, is it? Something Asphalt? I don't know, I can't remember now. But anyway, there's a sequel, a 3D sequel on the PS1 and that, Saturn, I think, as well. But I love the game.
I think I know what game you're talking about. I think I may have played that, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, come on.
Great kick-off that. Loved it.
Let's have one of yours, and then I'll see if I can beat it.
The series I'm going to talk about is current, because it's still... the most recent game wasn't too recent, still a good few year old, but it's relevant because it may have a game coming, and it's Streets of Rage. Obviously, I've grown up with Streets of Rage. I've loved them from day one.
You can't say Sega without Streets of Rage.
No, obviously there's a few ones,
opinion.
but I think the thing about the Streets of Rage games is, 3's not perfect, but 2 is perfect.
Yeah.
There's a game in my boot which I'll get to, which is just touch better than it. I know you wouldn't agree at all, and I will get onto it in the future.
If it's Riot City, I'm going to punch you.
It's right. It's DD Crew. It's DD.
Oh God.
But the first game, the Street Fighter 1,
Good game,
is a great game. It's not as visually impressive as the Final Fight SNES conversion, which was like its direct competitor, but it beats Final Fight in a lot of other ways, obviously by the 2-player mode, 3 characters, amazing music. Streets 1 still had fantastic music from Yuzo Koshiro, but you can see it's a little bit hamstrung by being, supposedly based on the Golden Axe engine, which is what I hear.
Yeah,
it probably is. I've heard it is. I've never really looked too far into the engine. I think the cart's only a 4 meg cart, so it's a small game. But it plays great still,
it's
the
still
game
enjoyable.
is just such great.
It's so enjoyable like that. Right now, there are games that are coming back. I sent you guys a WhatsApp. There's the new X-Men game coming, which is a side scroller. There's the Turtles game, which is a side scroller.
It's a genre that I'm so happy to see come back.
It's not dead. And I'm pleased about that as well, because you can't beat a bit of button mashing and just having fun. That's what gaming is.
Just turn off your brain, just say you want to play. But with Streets of Rage, like I say, I mean, for everybody who has played and enjoyed, it's almost such a big feature as the music, the soundtracks, perfectly in line with the early 90s dance and rave tracks and that. Techno and just
it dialed into the audience.
It did a bit like where Wipeout did it a few years later for the club crew, you know, really for the PS1 fans and that.
I mean, isn't that what people that make consoles do? They look at what's going on outside in the world and they go, what will grab people's attention as well as a game? We can all make good games, but generally. But, you know...
We try.
There are some pretty horrendous ones. Maybe we'll do an episode on that.
Well, I kind of wait for that one because I've got a lot of things that aren't that. Right. I mean, so Streets 1 was a good game. It was a great game, but when the second game came out, I mean, that was...
What's the worst in the series?
Arguably 3, really.
Right, well, it depends on how you break it down because there's conversions and all, which are decent known, right? But it's 3 is, in a way, if you want to just stick to the main series and including 4 as well, obviously.
I don't know, actually, I probably think 1's the weakest, but it's close.
Can it really call? I don't know.
But is 1 the weakest if you put them in the time they were released?
Oh, that's what I mean.
Instead of comparing them at the time now.
3 was weird because it was saying we've got to be careful now, but there's Street Race 3 and Bare Knuckle 3 and they're both different enough to get different review scores. If that's what we're doing,
was a better game.
Yeah, Bare Knuckle 3 is clearly better for a lot of reasons. And I've grown up with Street Rage 3, the Western release, you know, and it wasn't like a few years later I got to play the Japanese game, which is way better balanced. It's a bit easier because Street Race 3 is just like certain bosses are like they're not hard in the sense that they're difficult to defeat. They just have so much energy that you can be fighting for like 5 minutes straight. It's like, well, I'm losing interest now, you know, like your motor on that, you know.
Many tactics involved, and you're just waiting for that time to attack, and they're dragging it out.
I just remember, I mean, not being as impressed with 3 as I was with 2. I mean, the level design on 3 isn't as great. The music. Now, the music generally isn't as good as 1 and 2, but there's some bangers in there still. There just is. There's some tunes that I just really like, but it's nowhere near as much.
I wonder if it's...
They were trying something different.
I wonder if it's perception where you went from 1, which you loved, you went to 2 and they went, wow, they've really improved this. I can't wait for 3. Yeah. Because they're going to improve it that much again, and it didn't, and it sticks in your mind.
I think the problem is 2 was that good. They set a benchmark that was unrealistic to beat.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if I was just going to talk about the very best Streets of Rage game, for me, it's not even 4. It's an unofficial game called Streets of Rage Remake, which literally was made by a Spanish team.
Bomber Games,
Yep, who made it on their own back. They didn't get paid for it. The music is fantastic because it's made by different people who all love the original tunes and have contributed. I don't think Yuzo Koshiro was involved at all, actually.
No, I don't believe so, but you're right. They've took the original music and they've added bits in and fleshed it out a bit more.
The certain tunes tracks. I dare even call them songs because, you know, they're saying more, you know, like they should have their own, each one should have its own single. And where the influence from the 90s for the original tunes was there, in the newer remake versions, they've made it even more obvious. So you can, that is exactly, I mean, without ripping it off too closely, but you can tell exactly what, I mean, the baseball, level 4, the theme from the baseball ground, I think is great, you know. But I mean, there's a couple of conversions as well. It was the Master System Game Gear versions of the first 2 games, and they are their own thing to a degree as well. Yeah. I mean, they're kind of rare as well. Kind of hard to get, not too easy to get now. With the Street Rage 1 conversion being completely different from, the 2 versions, so Master System and Game Gear being very different games from different developers. I think the Street Rage 1 game on the Master System might actually even be Western developed. Then you've got different levels. They introduced new content, new levels. There was a cool do you remember the mobile phone game I showed you?
Yeah.
And that was that's hard to get. I don't even know if that's emulated. But what I loved about that, I've only ever watched a long play, I couldn't even play it. It takes the graphics, right, from 2, so you've got the sprites and the style of the enemies and the characters now from Street 2, with levels from Street Rage 1 and the move sets from 1 though, so it's quite simple, you know, but it looks fantastic. Still well done. Yeah. And there's a couple, it was 1 or 2 new boss enemies and things and that, you know, so.
Look, in terms of Streets of Rage, this is something I would never do as a teenager in the playground, but I admit defeat.
No one happened.
The only thing on Sony I could really say, again, not another Sony developed franchise, but the closest I can get is probably Fighting Force. which I enjoyed.
See, the thing is, me and you played that again not long back, right? And it is definitely decent, but obviously the story behind Fighting Force, as you know, was going to be official Streets of Rage game, you know. And Sega backed away from it, and it is decent, but there's something missing, mate. There's something not quite right about Fighting Force, and I remember we played through it, and it wasn't much longer than Streets of Rage, really.
Yeah, so I think that's probably where the magic lies.
It's something wasn't that only about an hour and a half, or was it like about the same as a normal?
Probably about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes.
So it wasn't that much longer than a normal Streets 2 or 3. And
No.
I remember I'm like by about level 2, I'm like, I'm getting a bit bored here. Where I be.
When I first got it in like 96 or whatever it came out, I absolutely loved it. I completed it multiple times.
It looked good for the time, and I mean, there's clear effort there. But to me personally, Street Rage 4's went the right direction, and it's not even my favourite game, but I do really enjoy it. They went in the right direction, making a 2D game with a lot of the features and styles of what people have loved in the early games. Obviously, there's a new game coming that we don't really know much about to really make a proper opinion on. It looks to be to go 3D if going by the trailers, that's what we've got coming. So personally, I didn't want that. I want a nice, colourful 2D game.
Well, I'd say the new X-Men one, I absolutely love the look of it.
Well, Jamie, you've got a stronger case than I have for Nintendo for beat 'em ups.
Well,
a game that you're trying to get at the minute.
Well, yeah, so for
Turtles game?
Yeah, Turtles in Time.
You might have it. As of the end of her.
Turtles in Time, I absolutely, that's one of my all-time favourites. I even played it with my mum. After the third level, then said, I didn't realise you can move up and down.
Yeah. It's a single-player fighting game.
I've always loved I've always loved Turtle games anyway.
Do you know what this is? I always say Konami. Well, we've talked about this multiple times, but I love just hearing my voice. What Konami have done with the Turtles games, as in like Sunset Riders and Rocket Knight Adventures and things, where you've got the arcade version, you've got the SNES, and they've got differences enough that you'd want to play both versions, or even Hyperstone Heist on the Mega Drive, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you just can't get away from that side-scrolling beat 'em up that I think we all played when we were kids at the arcades, and we still enjoy playing them today. That's why there's a little bit of a recovery coming, and I welcome that right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as I said, you've just mentioned the new X-Men game, which is obviously a direct sequel to that X-Men arcade game, which is another Konami banger, with 6 players on. Six,
I think it is, yeah.
I think it might be a 5-player cover. Well,
yeah, I wonder if gaming's moving slightly sometimes, where there was times where people had so much time that they would sit and play things for a long time, and they're going back to,
bite-sized play.
Well, people wanted value for money, so you're paying £60 for a game
that's chock full of absolute crap,
and but it's going to take me 100 hours.
Yeah, and
now they're going, well, actually, not everyone wants that. Someone wants to play a game, get the extras, get the galleries and that, and just go back to that.
We've discussed this before. This is exactly where I am as a person in your own head, you know. I mean, obviously, without completely sidelining what our topic is for the day, recent Mortal Kombat collection, you know. I mean, I know it's getting a lot of criticism from things and that, and I'm not going to get into that at all.
But that'll be a good debate for the playground.
May a bit where they go, different versions of that, SNES versus Mega Drive and that.
Well, I'm going to lose that one.
But
not necessarily.
Not Mortal Kombat 2 won't. Because Mortal Kombat 1 was weaker on the SNES, but
excuse me, Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
PlayStation, Saturn version's identical though. Saturn version's identical.
Fair enough.
But rare as fuck, so it's hard to get.
Sorry, I derailed you there.
But I derailed. I mean, but just go back what you're saying. So, as much as MK collection's getting a little bit criticism at the minute, or a lot actually, because that's an understatement, saying a little bit. But it's exactly the direction I want to see going with games. I think with that particular game though, or that particular collection, it's just because you've got such a hardcore set of fans who want the online to be working clearly, and I understand that, you know. I mean, you do. I mean, I'm not blaming the team behind it now, because it's still a fantastic team.
I managed to get Mortal Kombat 11 for
that was
£3 on the Nintendo store,
right?
And I thought, for £3, what have I got to lose? It's actually all right.
It looks great.
So,
I've never played it.
Really enjoyed it on the Switch too.
Jamie, come on and throw us one of yours, and let's see if we can beat it.
The truth is, I'm only. If I've got 3, they're all going to be absolute bangers, aren't they?
I know. So and the thing is, there's loads of Nintendo IPs that you can bring up. I'm like, shit, I've got no chance.
No, so first Zelda. Probably one of my favourite franchises in RPG. It has the perfect mix of...
Another mic drop moment again.
it has the perfect mix of
To say the word,
fun
guy.
and exploratory, dungeons, bosses. You know, now with the newer games, there's the cooking element. There's, you know, extending your bar so you can have more stamina.
Every single one's a 199 moment in it.
Yeah.
It's 199.
I mean, but to be honest, you know, so if I can dial back really, I've gone sort of to the front of the queue really with sort of Breath of the Wild and stuff, which I played and enjoyed, but that's not my favourite Zelda game.
Do you know what it is? I didn't play Zelda much just because it's not the type of game I generally play.
You need to like RPGs.
I did put a bit of time into what's the SNES one again?
Link to the Past.
Link to the Past.
That's my favourite one.
I just thought it looked great and all. I loved it. Was an early game for me, and it looked fantastic and on. It's like so that was my sort of first real.
So to me, I wasn't interested in those kind of games, and it got such good ratings in the magazines, and I thought, right, okay. And as soon as I played it, I was hooked. But you know, a lot of people say probably the best game is Ocarina of Time because they went to the 3D phase, which is probably against you there.
Ocarina was. I've finished Ocarina and I've finished Breath of the Wild. Those are the only two I've ever completed. I loved Breath of the Wild, loved Ocarina as well. I honestly couldn't say which one I preferred.
Yeah.
I'd struggle to. Breath of the Wild was super ambitious at the time.
Yeah.
But then the new one that came out where you can build all sorts of shit, that looks immense. You know what I mean?
Didn't Majora's Mask sort of like lose a few fans because some people didn't like the 3D cycle?
Strange.
The system, some people couldn't get away with that
the
system.
bosses involved.
Right.
But anyway, so I'll get back on track for me. So it was Link to the Past, but what that led me to also was the game on the Game Boy. So you had Link's Adventure, a link to...
Well, speaking of adventure, what was Zelda's Adventure?
No, it was...
We'll get on them in a second.
I'll forget. But the first Game Boy Zelda, I absolutely loved it. Played for it many, many times. They re-released it on the Switch, and I played it again. And then also, what is interesting to me is I enjoy playing the games on the Game Boy as much as any other console or the Advance. But they then had a tie-in with Capcom.
Yes, aye.
So you then had...
which one was that? Spirit Tracks or Phantom Hourglass?
No, so it's before that. So
was it?
Ages and Seasons, which were two games that actually interacted.
Yes, I knew about this side.
And
was that GBA then?
Yeah, it was.
And it went back to Link's Awakening, which is what I was looking for earlier, in the way it played, and I loved that, but took it to another level. And he could play it on the go. And then they also did Minish Cap.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, so funnily enough, you know, when I look at what I like about that series, it's actually the top-down ones that I prefer to 3D. You know, there are other games, Chrono Trigger and stuff like that, but RPG-wise, you know, what... So
did you think of Zelda 2?
You've missed... Actually, he's missed my favourite Zelda, Wand of Gamelon. On the CDI.
Well, I wanted to ask you about this. We wanted to ask you about this, Jamie. You've opened up a can of worms, and you've already dropped a real great banger as a series. So we've got
Gamelon, wasn't it?
It is one of mine. There's Wonder Gamelon. There's Zelda's Adventure, and there's Faces of Evil. Link Faces of Evil. So there's three games which you probably do know about.
If you haven't played them, you're not a true Zelda fan, Jamie.
Well, you've got to own them, not just play them.
Yes, that's right.
Sealed and all. 3 games for the CDI that were made through like a licensing deal with Zelda. Bear in mind that's how.
I remember those.
Did you have any hands on? We had one.
I never played.
I had
Gamelon.
Wonder Gamelon. I think. Do you remember the animations? It looked like Link's face was falling off every time he moved.
Everything was just wrong. Well,
how did they get the license? Is what amazes me.
Well, that's an interesting thing because I think it was similar to how it was to do with the Sony, the Nintendo PlayStation sort of along them lines.
That fell apart.
Yeah,
so they ended a relationship with Philips to do the Nintendo CD system.
Yeah. Right.
But it never came off in the end.
They made the Mario game. Mario is
missing.
No, it's a Hotel Mario.
Yeah.
And it looks like a Mario game at first glance. I mean, it looks like it's got Mario sprites from Mario 4 from Mario World. So I'll get in, but it's like not that. It's not that at all. It's more of an educational game, like Mario's Missing or Hotel. Well, I just said Hotel Mario this year, but there was going to be a true sequel. There was that. This is what I'll go with. There was going to be a true sequel to. I've just chipped into your other series.
No, you're all right.
One now.
Fine.
There was going to be a true sequel to Mario 4, not Yoshi's World, Yoshi's Island, Yoshi's World,
Yoshi's Island.
Yoshi's Island, aye. And it was just going to basically steal sprites and assets from Mario 4, but it was going to be a Western-made, probably Dutch-made game. So this prototype is available. Prototype is out there. There's about 2 different types, I think, where they literally tried to make their own Mario game, and it just completely fell apart. But it's interesting to see what came of that agreement, So obviously the 3 Zelda games being completed and available, just rare as duck's teeth, like.
I'm trying to think now. Is there anything
for Sony
that I can?
Well, it's Final Fantasy VII.
Well, you say no, because
which nearly was a Nintendo game, wasn't it?
Well, this is it. It's not really fair for me to say Final Fantasy because where did it start? On Nintendo. So Final Fantasy is probably just as synonymous with Nintendo, if not more than Sony.
Yeah. Well, there's other games, Earthbound, cracking game, Cryo Trigger,
yeah. So, but I don't class them as Zelda-like.
No. They're just an RPG.
Yeah, and that's the type of RPG I don't like. Where I like Zelda.
It's an action RPG. That's right.
It's a dungeon?
Well, the thing is, I'll bring later on. I'll bring in another one of my games that actually I would say relates to Zelda. If I'm honest with you,
and I'll
explain that when I speak about it. But the reason I enjoyed that game was purely because of the way it played. But yeah, so Zelda's a big hit. We all know that. I mean. Yeah, it's a difficult one to top in that respect.
Glenn can. He's got a certain
Golden Axe RPG.
Well, I'll sprinkle these in here now.
You might as well segue into Golden Axe because we want to get there.
Yeah,
but the thing is,
get the chart.
I mean, obviously the Golden Axe series, beginning with Golden Axe as it should. In 1989.
No, you've got to defend it with Golden Axe Warrior first because that's Zelda-like.
I'm just going to chuck this little bit now so people know what it is. Because you might not know what Golden Axe is and you need to know,
I doubt you'll be listening to this podcast.
One of the best beat-em-ups ever. And
if you've just found our podcast, you will know that you won't know that Glenn likes Golden Axe. So
you could never tell.
Just quite a bit. One of the games in this series is my best beat-em-up of all time, but we'll get to that in a little while. But Golden Axe had 2 action RPGs and
but that's interesting.
They're both clones of Zelda games, or very different Zelda games. And they get mixed reviews. I mean, I've seen Golden Axe Warrior get like 40% of 100, but then it's got its fans, and it's quite a rare game.
I think it's quite a good game, mate.
It is. It is. I mean, it's clearly a rip-off of the first Zelda, It's all top-down action. There's little old men and stuff like Zelda, and rooms and that. And then there was also Axe Battle, which was a Game Gear exclusive, which I've completed that. That is more based on Zelda 2,
Yeah, but do you know what else? Another game that I liked that similar was Gargoyle's Quest on the.
Oh yeah.
That had an RPG. If you ever got off the first level, which was extremely difficult, then you then got onto a top-down scroller. Where you went round and then you would suddenly get in another battle.
Didn't ActRaiser do some stuff? I know they well like on the SNES.
That's an amazing
the first one.
ActRaiser 1.
That was like Rastan and that, wasn't it?
It looks like Rastan, but there's a lot more to it. It's got a world building aspect.
Yeah, they re-released it.
Well, they have. There's an ActRaiser 2, which looks fantastic, but it's just they took all their world building elements out and it's just a side-scrolling Rastan clone, pretty much.
Basically, you're a god, and you then built islands and stuff.
That's got like a populous element, really.
And then you would go back and have the levels you fight in. But they re-released or remade ActRaiser 1. You could get it on the Switch. I've got it. Yeah, that is a brilliant
shout. Is it a full remake? Is it not just a remake? I thought it was a re-release.
No, brilliant shout. Absolutely brilliant shout there. When you've been playing games for years, you forget about some stuff.
This podcast is getting too friendly. It's meant to be a playground beating here.
All like bigging up each other's franchises.
I love that. Behave yourselves.
I think it's age as well.
Well, I like Wing Commander 3 on the
I hate Wing Commander. Think, shove
I'm
your
the
Wing
same
Commander. Fuck the Ken Shy, we'll call them tiger face.
Come on, and Glenn.
Motherfuckers,
Inevitable you were going to get the Golden Axe.
Right, well, might as well carry on Golden Axe because it's just the game I love and series. I mean, Golden Axe 1 arcade, 1989. Not the best beat up because it's been surpassed by many, including its own unbelievably godlike sequel, which I will get into in a second, number 1 beat up of all time. And it came out with so many things. I mean, Golden Axe was and still is a phenomenon to me, and people just know what it is. I mean, they just know. I mean, it's the easiest game in the world to beat, probably. Arcade version. Yeah. No, I mean,
but I didn't know that until I met you guys.
Oh, yeah,
well, that was the easiest game.
No, that and the double dragon back punch that you've educated me on both of those games,
I got trained in that art, you know.
We'll get you started on Pit Fighter.
Oh, cool.
No.
I can't wait. That's another classic.
I see that weren't brought up in the second conversation.
I'm not done.
not yet. But so Golden Axe came out in so many things. I mean, obviously it's fantastic. Mega Drive conversion was just was the game that totally changed my
blew your mind.
Outlook on. It blew me. It did blow me mind. I mean, this was 1990 really when I played it. So you've got to look at back in the day. To find it is a game that comes with extra levels and it's got a dual mode where I get to fight enemies in different ways that I would have.
I don't want to say, being really old, that it was a golden era back then to me.
It was golden now.
Golden Axe era.
Yeah, definitely. Great.
Only in one house.
But to say that Mega Drive version, what blew me away, and it had the conversions that came out.
If I was further away from getting, I'd say Altered Beast was better, but he could probably still hit me from here.
I personally like Altered Beast. I think Altered Beast is a good game, but
no, it's not a patch. It's not
as good as Golden Axe. Like, it's not as all. I mean, a bit different, but I mean, I've got so many memories of it growing up though. I mean, but there's that many different versions. I went every way to play, so obviously I did check out all the computer versions. Just some of them, like the Amiga, being pretty good. Some being not as good.
But isn't that what this is about, really? When you said at the start, it's about us probably arguing a little bit about games. And to me, I know that many people would disagree with me on Zelda, just one subject. But the games I mentioned were the games that drew me into the series that I still have and would still sit down and play. And you're the same with Golden Axe. This is what drew you into the gaming at that time.
Do you know what
that's important?
I think with Golden Axe, I got that many different versions thrown at us so soon. So it was like, the PC, it was a PC version, not PC Engine. I'm talking about PC version, which was interesting because it actually took the assets from the Mega Drive game and sort of overlaid it into a completely different beat 'em up game that played nothing like the Mega Drive.
Yeah, the engine
so it was a curious version.
Cool,
so the graphics looked good because it was on PC at the time, 1991. Graphics were starting to look pretty decent.
In VGA.
VGA.
256
sharp VGA, you know.
So we're into competition. So, you know, I'll start with one that won't win, and that's Gods.
Aye.
Gods was quite good. I wouldn't have... You know what? If you wanted a Nintendo a game that's almost synonymous with Nintendo, Knights of the Round, there's a good competitor for you.
I don't agree. because Knights of the Round
come out on the Mega Drive or any Sega systems.
But Knights of the Round came out in 94, I think, you know, on the
Super Nintendo.
And it's obscure though on the SNES. I mean, no, it's not as obscure in the arcade, but it's. Did you own it? I didn't own a cartridge.
I don't know anybody who owned it.
Well, you already had Golden Axe on the Sony anyway.
I think
not on Sony.
Would you believe it?
Actually,
yes.
That's not PlayStation 3. Got Beast Rider.
Oh, please don't even mention that. I'm going home if I have to talk about that. But do you know what it is? You'll probably disagree here, but there's a more common game that came out before Knights of the Round, and that's Legend.
Oh yeah,
and I mean, I know it's a Western, it's a French game.
It's a pretty good game.
It's decent, but that because it's a bit more common and more accessible. Legend is, and it came out. I don't really know Knights of the Round came out in England, did it? Like in the UK, I think it did.
Probably.
To get power release.
Yeah.
But that game now, I'm playing that and go, because it's got some magic effects that are borrowed. They look like it's similar to the sequel.
There's a pirate.
It's a zombie pirate. It looks like they've used the same graphic and just modified it a bit, you know, which gets us onto like the absolutely fantastic sequel, Golden Axe Revenge Death Arrow, which for me I feel is actually a slightly better game than Street Rage 2 on the Mega Drive.
Beating the Golden Axe drum.
It's just like I
can't believe this jar is actually empty. But we did look. Let's be fair. We gave him license.
We'll be filling it up at the end, I think.
Oh, we gave you license. It's unfair to make it pay.
You got a little bit, haven't you? But I played that game in an arcade. I bought that game as well at one point. I bought that actual arcade cabinet, and then I haven't got any more, so a couple of tears from me.
So it's the same question, really. I asked you about Streets of Rage. What's your favourite from the series? And it's that.
Oh, absolutely. With a massive... I mean, the thing is, I just spent a quick second to look at the other versions. I mean, taking Gornax one, you've got PC Engine version, which is quite weak. There's an obscure Wonder Swan version, which is also not that great. They released a version on the Mega CD on the what's the arcade pack, what it was called?
Yes.
Classics pack.
Yeah.
And it takes a two-player. I mean, they've put the arcade music in there, which I thought was really good.
Aye.
But then they've put the voices in from fucking DD Crew.
Aye.
So
it's a weird hodgepodge.
DD Crew sounds of an obscure arcade game, it's shit.
Here's something. When I mentioned Tekken at the start, where was your defending Sega with Golden Axe to Jewel? You missed that one.
It's a decent
game, though.
Golden Axe to Jewel is a decent game with a good Saturn port, but it's a different game from Tekken with it being a 2D beat 'em up with a fighting game. It's hard to compare, I think.
Yeah, you've got
Virtual Fighter
Virtual
all day
Fighter,
long, yeah.
And the thing about the Jewel, though, I mean, the sad thing about the Jewel is it's. Have you played the Jewel on Saturn? I owned it for a little while. Well, you obviously played it.
I've played it, and the arcade one, yeah.
It's a solid fighting game.
I still like
just
2D fighters on the
Saturn.
I still think it was a better
this
game.
game, it just doesn't stand out in any way. I mean, at the time it came out, it's quite an early game for the Saturn as well. It just doesn't.
If you take your Tekken argument, the reason I thought Tekken was better than Virtual Fighter would be that it tapped into, at the time, the anime scene, and many magazines that you used to buy had a lot of anime films that were coming out, and stuff like that. And I just felt it tapped into that Japanese feel to it.
Tekken, you've got to remember that even Tekken 1, right, which you know because we talked this a while about, even Tekken 1 at home on the PS1 had endings and proper stories. The characters no good. So Virtual Fighter didn't bother with that, where Tekken did. So, and the Tekken arcade games didn't have endings.
I tell you what I love more about. I know we've went right back to the start here, but what I love more about Tekken over every other fighting game is each of the main face buttons represent a limb.
A different limb. I know.
It makes combos more like intuitive,
real life, but it also makes it different from Virtual Fighter enough to be its own thing.
Well, Virtual Fighter is like block, punch, kick.
And I guess it kind of gets away from the whole Soul Calibur, which I did a bit on my console before.
Brilliant.
It's a brilliant game, but that's weapons.
Soul Edge and Soul Blade.
Yeah, so they're weapons.
Remember, even the first Soul Blade, I know we're really moving
fantastic.
away, even Soul Blade, the original game, had that much content over the original with the Edge Master mode. You've got a whole quest. You haven't just got a normal tournament mode from a simple 3D fighter of the time. You've got something that takes it so far beyond. It could have been its own mode on its own disc, That just blows me away, that like.
Right, I'm going to lay down a bit of playground hurt here on both of you. I'm going to give you a double barrel, right? Silent Hill, Resident Evil. My mic drop moment.
There is Silent Hill.
Even Silent Hill 1 and Resident Evil 1, both synonymous with PlayStation.
Well, they are. The Resident Evil is on the N64.
Yeah, but not the first one. Not the first one.
I don't really want to over-defend it because it's a genre that's synonymous.
You can't, because there's nothing on Nintendo that comes close.
No, but it's synonymous with that, with the whole sit in your front room, turn your lights out, Dead Space style. Again, it was aimed at that audience and superb. Yeah. I don't want to argue against it or tell you Nintendo made a better game than that, because they didn't. Because they didn't do it.
Sega, what we've got? What's the closest you can get?
Have I got an Alone in the Dark, possibly? I think there's an Alone in the Dark 3 might come out on Saturn, I can't remember. Oh, Super High Glide.
No, wait, hold on.
Well, no, because Resident Evil Code Veronica.
I tell you what.
Evil 2 came out on Saturn, though, anyway.
Condemned. See, that was a Sega published game.
Sega published the series 2 games, wasn't it? On 360.
That was a bloody good game,
That's going to lead me down to Manhunt, though, on you. And that was just controversial.
Synonymous with PlayStation.
Yeah, and very controversial, but we all probably played it because of that.
Manhunt 2, I missed the first one. I played a bit of Manhunt 2, but honestly, I just didn't like the way it played. I loved the graphic violence. I thought it was amazing, but I just didn't like the way it played.
I think it's something you won't see now.
Too much stealth.
Too much stealth, like not enough, fun and too much stealth.
Too much stealth? You mean like a certain other franchise?
No, because you can have fun with a certain other franchise that I'll do another mic drop moment on.
I think, to be honest, it's Silent Hill wasn't as much for me as Resident Evil. And I was never really a horror person.
I spent more time with Resident Evil than Silent Hill.
And
just
by the way,
I did.
how about Myst?
Oh, it's
Isn't that more of a... Oh, it's PC original, isn't it? Missed.
Yeah, but it was. I've got
it. I've got CD.
It was on Sega, and it wasn't a scary game, but it was an exploratory mystery type game.
It was more of just like creepy, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Missed.
What was there not? There was got to be a Sega other than Condemned. I'm sure there was a Sega franchise like survival horror.
it must have been.
I kind of think
If it was, I had no interest in it. I just stuck with my old game.
So much for defending Sega.
No, but I'll stick
good
with defending
shout.
straight to it. It's Golden Axe and my third game.
I think what you brought up there is a good shout, and it's era defining in when they took games to a certain adult level.
Yeah.
Along with games such as GTA, but yeah, no, stuff like that. I think Sony nailed that time, in my opinion, and that's why I had a PlayStation. I had a Saturn. I actually traded it for a PlayStation.
I think this thing with the taking the PS1 just as an example, really, it managed to nail every single genre though.
Apart from side-scroll and beat 'em ups, but apparently I can't think of one.
Well, it's an obscure game. Do you know Technosoft, which is a great company?
The shooty game
would have had a Street Fighter.
Thunder Force, that's it.
It had a Street Fighter, though, surely, didn't it?
Oh, that's Street Fighter Collection, that? No.
It's a fighting game, not a brawler, isn't it?
Do you not remember?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know that Saturn had Guardian Heroes, which is absolute legend. PlayStation had Panzer Bandit, which is a very good clone of Guardian Heroes. Slightly not as good. It takes away the RPG elements, but if I'm right, I think it's made by some of the same people. It's an obscure Japanese-only game, but PlayStation and Saturn also had a good beat 'em up which we've played, and it was Neketsu Oyaku, and that was a Japanese exclusive Final Fight rip-off, which was kind of good. One of the levels took place in a wheel and that.
Don't remember that.
It was years ago, mate. It's like 20 years ago we played.
I think the thing is that everything went. There was a race to make the best 3D back then.
Yeah.
And some
2D was getting rejected on
some consoles suffered from
especially
that.
PlayStation.
Nintendo and Sony did well with that, but Sega's pretty much had a...
I remember.
Right. Well, they were better off when they made Clockwork Knight because that was a half decent game.
That looks great. Oh, I love the look of it. I love
it was actually a good game.
Looked nice and smooth, its colours and stuff.
That was a good game on there, and I enjoyed that. But they stuck with that sort of Children of the Atom we spoke about as a side.
I'll tell you something. I actually like that look still. I know it's outdated, and it's generally not as I've done it. Sorry, mate. It's generally not. You've got to do it next. It's generally not received as well as really good pixel art. Like 2D pixel art. But I still like the look of like Kill Instinct 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I'm not people say
Rear casting.
Yeah, but they'll say, it looks, the characters might look plastic. But to me, that's like, well...
Part of the charm.
It's part of the charm. And you sort of want them to do, because you're like, I need an action figure of Orchid or whatever.
Yeah.
TJ Combo or Full Gore, my favourite, And it's like, it just looks
Spinal's the best.
Nice. Spinal, right. You guys talking about Battle Monsters. And that's a Saturn exclusive. Battle Monsters, that should be a game on my list. No. Battle Monsters.
I'm not going to ask you, Glenn, because I know you're going to launch into some of a... Actually, no. Yeah.
Well,
you'll have nothing left.
I've still got 2 to go.
I've only got a single game. Hey, I can add stuff. Battle Monsters being the best 2D fighter in the world.
Well, we're going to be bringing up other stuff, so you're going to have to defend Sega with something, but you'll have plenty of opportunity because Sega did plenty of games.
I've got a game in one of your series here. So.
Jamie, you're going to have to.
Right.
Yeah, you go for it, mate. If you bring in what I think you're going to bring in,
right? So I'm going to go for Mario.
It was obvious, so wasn't it?
Yeah.
Glenn's got a good defence, so we'll not go there yet.
So, Mario, let's just, you start at the beginning, it revolutionised home consoles, it managed to sell most consoles they had, apart from the Game Boy, which was sold by Tetris, but also Super Mario World, which was pretty amazing. Super Mario World 2 on the Game Boy was fantastic. Super Mario Land 3 pushed the entertainment system to the absolute edge.
If you rattle off the name of every Mario game, we're going to I'm going
to stop because I'm going to shock you in a minute, I think, because Super Mario World, I don't mind it, but do you know what? I never loved it.
It's my favourite Mario game.
So that brings me on to what I was going to say. My favourite Mario game is actually Mario Odyssey.
Okay.
I
haven't played them all
absolutely,
recent ones.
It's good. It is
I
very good.
absolutely loved playing it, and I played it beginning to end. I wanted to collect everything, and I just enjoyed the environments. I enjoyed the game. So it will be controversial, and people say Super Mario 64 and stuff, but Super Mario 64 was brilliant because of what it did, but it was a bit clunky.
Jamie, Sega had a way bigger, way more important franchise. And it started in 1986 and the Master System. It's called Alex Kidd. Everyone played Alex Kidd. He's got a big head, you know, and he punches stuff.
That is true, Alex Kidd.
I tell you, we're not going to talk about the Blue Blazer.
Do you know what it is? I don't need to because he's that phenomenal, right? And his family and friends and chums that would, you know, I mean, I think what me is with me, the first two games, always the first two for me, looked and sounded fantastic.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 blew Mario out of the water.
I know this. I'm meant
in
to be
terms of graphics.
Absolutely. I'm meant to be defending Sega here, and I will on those certain games. But Sonic sadly has had such a massive set of missteps throughout its time.
Do you know the game I love?
Which I hate.
The Dreamcast Sonic Advance and Sonic Advance 2.
I
love those games.
Sonic Adventure. Yeah.
Sonic.
I really loved them.
But then we had Sonic 06, didn't we? And then look what happened there. So
and Heroes and
I think what the sad thing is that it's some cancelled games in there and all that people will be like, you know, they really want to see these things happen. You know, Sonic Extreme
is not a bad game if you've played that.
I haven't.
That's not bad. That goes back more to the roots of the way they used to play the 3D. But I really enjoyed the Sonic Adventure because the replay value was superb because you got to replay it with each character before you got Supersonic. So I can't disagree with that. You know, and this is going to, you know, if people really cared, this is going to kill people. But I actually like Super Mario Sunshine, and there's a reason for that because there was speech involved in that game.
Yeah.
When a lot of them, they don't have speech, so they voice the characters. Some of the graphics were fantastic. The water levels. You know,
I thought it was pretty well received, me. I thought it was Sunshine.
I enjoyed it.
Do you know what the worst part of it was? I hope I'm not wrong here. You can feel free to shout at us in the comments, but didn't it only run at 30 frames a second? Which was a big off-put for me.
Probably.
I think it was because of the water physics. They couldn't get it running at 60 frames.
Because there was a lot of beach levels and stuff like that. And they had, like, say, mirrors that you stuck to. But at the time, they did that in Luigi's Mansion, which I just replayed for Halloween.
Brilliant.
Yeah, just replayed it for Halloween.
Have they just done a new one?
No, the old one.
It's not
Right.
not brand new.
Right,
The third one came out, 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was the first one that's been put on the...
Somebody was talking
something you hate, but it's been put on the expansion pass.
Expansion pass. Well, my favourite Mario game, because I've all got to say it because it's such a great franchise. It's a toss-up, and I haven't played Mario Galaxy 2 here. It's a toss-up between Mario Galaxy 1 and...
Where's that Mario Galaxy? Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah.
It's a toss-up between Mario Galaxy 1
Brilliant, no.
or Super Mario 3D World.
See, for me, it's the Super Mario Bros. 3 or Super Mario World. I know they're much older games, but I've just got so many amazing memories of both those games,
Galaxy
especially with 3, whereby that was the game.
Three for me more than Mario World.
3 was the game we kept getting caught playing in the dark with the school nights, you know.
Well, they brought in the maps and stuff then, didn't they? Well, although it had already kind of been done, but but Galaxy... It's a great shout. I mean, apparently Galaxy 2 is better. I had to own it. I've hardly played it, but Super Mario Galaxy was very good. It built on Sunshine in the way that you had individual levels. So you would go in and they'd take the pack off you.
Yeah.
And I think that led to Galaxy because when he took the pack from you, you'd be in a tunnel you just got into and you had to do those... levels across blocks.
I've only played a little bit, like probably the first maybe hour and a half.
I finished Galaxy.
I killed the piranha plant at the start. It was covered in all the goo.
It was a game that worked well with the controls as well, which is super important. So when I had Zelda, I didn't think the Zelda game worked that well. The second Zelda game on
Wind Waker.
No,
Twilight Princess.
No, it was... It went back to the very beginning. It'll come to me soon.
Not A Link to the Past. Link's Awakening?
No. It was a Skyward Sword.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that I had motion controls.
Yeah,
on the
it was
Wii,
all motion controls. And I bought it, obviously, being a fan. And it probably is a solid game, but it wasn't enjoyable using those controls.
Yeah, too much waggling.
Whereas with Galaxy, they nailed it, and it was fun.
But Galaxy was amazing. So please, anybody who's driving right now, don't take your hands off the wheel and clap. But I've got a certain Sony franchise that I think does put up a bit of a challenge. What?
Break for a bit.
And because Jamie's desperate for a Wii, we'll take a quick break and I'll tell you what that franchise is.
Not a Nintendo Wii.
When we come back.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise you were doing something against Mario.
Oh, yes, we are. But we'll finish that off after the break.
Right, fine. Sorry, I thought you were done.
No.
Too shame. Looking forward to
done. Back in a minute, gents and girls.
It's not Crash Bandicoot, is it?
Quick interruption, guys, and don't worry, it's only about 45 seconds, which incidentally is about the same amount of time it takes for us to embarrass ourselves in a boss fight. Did you know Gaming on a Brain isn't just a podcast? We're on YouTube as well. Do you want to watch playthroughs? Because we've got them, with and without commentary. Perfect for the kind of person who likes to watch other people press their buttons. How about some Let's Players? I mean, that's just us laughing, dying repeatedly and pretending it was all part of the plan. Our head-to-head series can get very competitive and very heated, and that's where the friendships go to die. But if lists are your thing, then our #5 series has you covered. Think of it like some snack-sized reviews, but without the calories. We're working hard at Gaming on the Brain to bring you as much fun, engaging content as possible, and all we ask in return is a review, a like, a sub, or a cheeky comment just telling us how rubbish we are. And we'll probably respond as well with some equally bad banter. Now let's get you back to the podcast. Hope you enjoy the rest of the show. 2 words. Well, 3 I suppose. 2 if you change the "and" to one of those
Still going to try and beat Mario.
Jak and Daxter.
Great franchise.
But it didn't come out till the PS2.
It doesn't matter.
You know, I mean,
I remember that on
the
a
whole generation.
It was on your Sony
PSP
machine.
for me. That was
where you could mention Ratchet and Clank in that case, or
I prefer Jak and
Sly
Daxter.
Raccoon or something.
That wasn't great. Sly Raccoon was.
I would say it's not Mario Kart. I would say it's more.
But we've got Jak. What was it? The racing Mario Kart type game as well.
Jak X. Combat racing. There's that element of TM in there.
Yeah. So it ticks all the hallmarks for a good competitor to Mario. However, I will say Mario is better. But the Jak game,
it's a great game.
Especially the Jak.
I loved it.
The first one was absolutely amazing.
I think the new one you can get on Steam that was on PlayStation is. So I'd like to play.
That's Ratchet. Ratchet and Clank. And I've played the new one.
Is it good? That looks good.
Oh, I'm having technical issues.
We had Spirit of Speed 1937 on Dreamcast, so stick that in your hooter. Possibly the worst racing game ever created, I reckon.
You actually haven't bought up Gran Turismo, but you've got Mario Kart. You've got Spirit of Speed.
I've got Spirit of Speed.
At the top of the Street Racer, Glenn. Amazing game.
Yeah, amazing game. Well, the prelude really to.
On the Xbox one?
Yeah.
Project Gotham.
Yeah.
But Glenn, I know you've got you've got another Sega one you want to bring up that I think this might struggle to compete.
Do you know what it is? I don't even care about that. It's an obscure game and all on Sega, but this has got so many great memories for us, really, especially me, obviously, you know. I remember us trying to make tapes on the game and I tried to make our own little.
Those were the days.
They were the days.
Holding up a tape recorder for about 4 hours. Well 40 minutes.
So you guys have always been into this kind of stuff.
Oh, we're just.
We're literally doing a podcast back when I was 8 years old. But before we invented the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, we just don't have the tapes anymore to prove it.
They might still be kicking about.
I hope they are. If they are, I'll upload them.
I hope you named them on the tape themselves.
I think I slept with them on my pillow. I was that devoted. I loved them that much, and so eventually just, I don't know, maybe they've just melted or something.
Probably used them that much. The tape stretched. And
I did have the one where I cried my eyes out.
Funnily enough, it's a bad segue, but I was at a car boot sale the other day in Seaham, and I managed to pick up a Walkman.
Like a proper Sony Walkman.
Well, it's not Walkman. It's
an Alba.
Yeah. But it would only cost me £5. I used it as a prop.
You need a Discman. That was you're posh if you had a Discman.
Unless you know when you walk, like your gait. If your gait was too far and you like had a little hop in your step, you're skipping your track.
Mini disc goes in.
I had a mini disc.
You were rich if you had one. But my game, now when I say the name, you're probably more likely to think of a more recent game. The game, well, recent-ish. 360 and that.
A certain Microsoft game.
A game called Crackdown. which was
Did you guys not do an episode on a completely different Crackdown?
This is the Crackdown.
This is that Crackdown. This is that
Okay.
Crackdown. Because it's kind of obscure. It wasn't even a really big hit. It did have a few computer versions with mixed results, some being good, some not as good. A solid Mega Drive game, which
espionage type game from when I listen to the podcast.
a little bit. It's got little. I mean, it has. There's some stealth elements.
I'm
in
going
there.
to smack it out the park in a minute. With
Well,
it.
yeah, obviously.
It's originally an arcade game from 1989. And some people would, and I hear people say this, they'd call it like a souped up gauntlet, and it's like, all right, because it's top down view and the levels are a bit like mazes and that. It's like, no, it's not gauntlet. The play and the pace of the game is not gauntlet at all.
Completely different.
It's got more of a stealth element. You're planting bombs, so you do have different methods of fighting enemy guards. There's different type of enemy soldiers, and different weapons and
Gauntlet
skills.
as well. I would argue that Gauntlet isn't a
action.
game you can get good at. Crackdown is.
Yeah,
Gauntlet.
Gauntlet, you just throw yourself at things.
It's an action game, Gauntlet. It was
You've got to. You need to try Crackdown, Jamie, because it's one of those games where you pick it up and you first look at it and you think, it's going to be shit.
Well,
but when you start getting the idea of what you should be doing, it's actually really good.
It's not complicated.
I know the one you would chuck against it, so I won't ruin that. But if in the other thing though, Juice X is it like that?
Nah, Deus Ex is more like a.
Because that's a stealth kind of game.
I remember when that came out. Didn't they make a sequel and that? No.
Well,
There's been a few.
The best way I can compare Crackdown to a more modern game is Army of Two from EA.
That works. In fact, that does. Because it's split screen, so it's not like Gauntlet where you've got 2 to 4 players forced to move in the same direction on the screen. You literally have a map, and the map's pretty detailed in the arcade version and some of the computer.
Spy versus Spy.
Bonanza Brothers pretty much, yeah.
Well, the thing, we played Bonanza Brothers, and Bonanza Brothers would sort of a semi-sequel. It takes the Crackdown style of play and puts it on a side scroll, and it looks a bit like Spy versus Spy, but it just doesn't feel
What
right.
I would say about the game was
It's really hard, man.
I listened to the episode you guys did on it, and I enjoyed the episode and thought I should give that a go, because you explained the bosses, you explained the planting bombs, you explained all of the game itself, and I quite enjoyed the episode. But I guess I enjoyed it because it was something I didn't know anything about.
To be honest though, once I've really bothered to even look at the story more, it takes a lot of elements from Blade Runner.
Aye.
I mean, the enemies are not even humans; they're basically like the synthetic beings, synthetic people, so like androids.
Do you know what? If I was to discuss Crackdown in a modern element, right? It would be, imagine playing something like Gears of War with your pal in 2-player, and you're flanking positions while laying down cover fire. That's the best way I can describe, like Pit Fighter. I can't get off my mind.
Oh God, we're going to get another jar out.
That's the best player.
I know. That's the best way I can describe Crackdown, because every part of it is like that.
Yeah.
It's like Glenn might step out and draw the fire from an enemy while I go around and kill him.
So what I like what Glenn's done here is he's picked a game that is different, and it would be easy to pick what I've done really. I've picked probably some of there's more than that, but the top 3 games for me that I like from Nintendo. But I quite like what you've done here in a way that you've picked something for a different reason but can completely defend it.
The reason with me for this is that it's just my first real experience of the game was more of the Mega Drive game, a little bit like the Golden Axe, where I've spent more time.
So
with
it's on the Mega
console
Drive
version first. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a Mega Drive version.
Mega Drive version's good. It's very good, but it changes a few bits around in the levels. There is one whole new level, and there's a few new enemies now, which is
What
interesting.
happens in the game if it's not 2-player?
You
You
don't
still
need
do it,
2
yeah.
players. I mean, you don't need 2 players.
It's
a bit more
you can't help each other essentially.
Yeah,
You're by yourself.
So it doesn't need that. And I used to play mostly 1 player anyway, but it's great to have that 2-player element, because there's 16 levels, and like every level brings different enemies and different obstacles and that. No 2 levels play the same, which I thought was really good. And the 16 levels are split into 4 sort of
a lot of
worlds,
levels.
4 cities. And the whole thing is a massive complex, and you're obviously working your way till the final boss who's created all these synthetic soldiers and that, and try to take over the world. That old chestnut, plant your bombs and that in the levels, and that, three or more, depending on the level. And escape before the timer goes off, before the bomb goes off. And
I think, you guys straight away think you know what I'm going to mention.
Yeah,
but I think it's a different game, a different breed of game. But the closest I can get on like Sony's consoles, again, it's not a Sony developed franchise. People are going to be shouting at us here. Sorry, Loaded. That's the kind of closest I can get.
Well, I thought, but no, I
thought you was going to do top-down Metal Gear.
I would say,
but that's not Sony.
No, it's Loaded.
Metal Gear Solid.
I think Loaded's closer to Gauntlet.
What I can do is I can say you could have played Metal Gear on the entertainment system or the SNES, which is a top-down game of that nature. Sneak.
Yeah, again, no. Crackdown's more like an action with a teamwork element.
Would you say it's like a mixture in between a Commando style?
Yeah.
So Commando mixed with a Metal Gear.
Yeah, I mean, you're stealthy in it. Pardon me. You're stealthy in a sense, but it's more about the teamwork. And I think in 2-player, it's a much better game than in 1-player.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, it encourages combat and fighting still. I mean, you use hunting techniques and you've got two different weapons now. So, I mean, using your weapons doesn't trigger off soldiers. I mean, usually it's all line of sight, isn't it?
I'll be honest, I like stealth games, but some of them are boring.
This is not at all. Not at all. It's pure action.
But that's nice balance.
It is a balance because it's one of those games where you can't just barrel through. You cannot just barrel through. No. I mean, some levels you sort of can, and it's encouraging 1 or 2 levels depending on the setup of it. But generally speaking, you're picking your way through the levels. If you've got another player, like I always look at, the warehouse level. I think it's level 3, part 1, where you've got all the conveyor belts. I mean, because there's that many soldiers with like fast, heavy weaponry and that, you need to pick your way across the belt.
If you both just try and run at the same time, one is going to die because the rockets get you. So you've got to communicate.
Even more so is like the first level of the 4th world, whereby as you're running across the roads, you get the missiles coming out and you've got the dogs as well. So you're picking your way across each of the sections until you get to the end to plant all the bombs. It's like you couldn't just barrel through that.
It's the perfect social arcade game as well, because if somebody joins in who's next to you and he's absolute dog shit at it, you probably want to punch him.
Like for real landing game, you can run out of bullets and just punch him to death.
But if he's going to stop and communicate, you've probably got a friend for life after that. You know what I mean?
Sounds like a good
we're met on Crackdown.
I think that sounds like a playthrough.
The class. It's only 20 minutes or something.
The thing about Crackdown is, like I said, it's not a big game. It's not a very well remembered game. It tends to do okay in reviews and stuff. I mean, but there's lesser known for me anyway. Lesser known games like Game Ground, which is still quite good game, which got remakes and stuff and got put on compilations. And Crackdown's never had that. And it's like,
why not?
It's had the Mega Drive version's had a Wii release, and I think the Hamster Archives do have it now. I'm assuming they would, but there's never been a sort of proper update, and there maybe never will because there maybe just isn't a demand for it, But I think it is a great game, and if you give it a bit of time,
good level design,
definitely. Yeah.
So I mean, that's what a great game is, though.
The arcade cabinet runs on a medium res monitor, and it's a System 24 board. And even though it's got small sprites, obviously soldiers,
really well detailed.
Yeah, everything's just so detailed in that, and the colours just pop. It's a stunning looking game for 1989. And
about Contra,
big cabinet with that big screen.
Contra with Mode 7.
A bit more zoomed out. Jamie, I know if we don't let you do your third original choice, you might explode. So I think you should launch into that one.
So there's plenty of others, the Metroid, but for me, Pokemon. It's rediscovered itself massively in the last 5 to 10 years, but where it started was everything to me. The blue and the red cartridge, my friend bought red, I bought blue, and it enabled to get on the Game Boy the link-up elements, because you couldn't get every character, so I had to trade. But it had that...
It encouraged community, though, didn't it? Pokemon,
again, it's another one of those... It breeds a social element, and I love that. It's
quite an early time, early example,
At its heart, though, it was an RPG. People forget, they think it's a catching monsters game, and it's not. It's a very, very good RPG.
I've never played a single
It's a fantastic game. And when I go back to Zeldas that I liked on the Game Boy and the SNES, it was like that. But, there were routes. You could use a bike. You had to get a Pokemon that chopped down a tree, made you think. And it was one of the only things I went out and bought the guide for.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to know where they were, in what dungeon they were. You couldn't trade a Pokemon from your friend that was a higher level because it wouldn't obey you. So,
Right, okay.
so if you start with a level
you
3
need
and you have to work your way up, if your mate has been playing it for years and he gave you a level 15 Pokemon, it wouldn't obey you because you're not allowed to have that.
It sounds very deep. It sounds almost like Nintendont in a game.
Yeah. But it's much deeper than you think, and that's why I bring it up. If people just think it's a Pokemon Go or stuff like that, in its origin, it is a high-class, well-thought-out game. And you know, it's quite a long game, but it's so enjoyable. You know, route to route, city to city. The maps are massive. It's just a class franchise.
Here's a question for you then. For someone like me who's never played a Pokemon game, if you were going to jump in, which one would you jump in at? So
I'd probably go in at the Pokemon Omega Red.
What's that on?
So that's on the
GBA,
it's on your DS or 3DS.
Okay, right.
The reason for that is old Pokemon games. The Pokemons you used were the only ones that leveled up. So you end up with 6 in your fighting party, and within those 6, you have to pick Pokemon with different skills. So one would be strong against fire, one would be strong against ice. So you have to have a varied group in the area you're in. So again, it is quite deep actually. But with the newer games, when you fight, everyone in your group levels up. But what you had to do to level up in the old games was switch your Pokemon.
And use that Pokemon to...
Yeah, so even if you switched him in and then switched him out, he'd get XP.
Okay.
So it was a longer game because it took you longer to level up what you wanted to do.
Oh, grinding it.
Yeah, it was a grind.
Here's another question then. You know, you mentioned like that, what was it, Omega Fire or something?
Omega Red, yeah.
Omega Red. So say I was to jump in on Omega Red, given what you've just said there about the social aspect of Pokemon as well on the DS, I wouldn't be able to like trade or anything anymore, surely.
I think you could do it on, well, there's certainly the newer games. You could do it online. You used to be able to do that with Omega Red and Sapphire Blue, which are actually a remake of Red and Blue from the Game Boy.
Okay, right.
So they have the original maps. And you used to be able to trade online, but it might not be a possibility anymore. But now, you can join communities if you buy the new games. And they're now 3D. I'll be honest, my daughter plays the 3D ones a lot. I don't.
Just thinking that Ellie, she's got a Switch 2 coming up for Christmas. She won't be listening to this, so that's fine.
Oh, she would love it.
But yeah, I could maybe get her Pokemon. I mean, she's 8.
So
7.
The new one is fantastic, apparently.
Yeah.
So,
well, there's not many spin-offs and all, isn't there? I mean, Pokemon Snap and that being one.
Look at us doing education as well.
Well, I also
proud of us.
I also had Pokemon Pinball.
Yeah.
Pokemon
card game.
Yeah, but regardless of all of that, the only message I'd like to get across is at the heart of it, it is quite a well thought out, deep game where you have to think about your squad, you have to plot your way around stuff, you have to go back because you couldn't chop a tree down or break your Pokemon essentially will cut the tree or he'll break a rock for you, but you have to get that Pokemon and come back to open up those routes. So, people see it as a kid's game, I think, a little bit, and actually it's much better than that. And that's why I left it till last and probably put it above the other two a little bit, just because when you understand it, it's actually a very well thought out franchise.
The thing is, that when you say franchise, it is a massive franchise. That video games are just a part of it. I mean, this covers so many different things.
Touch on this was it the last episode where Pokemon is almost worth as much as Nintendo itself?
Yeah, but it was weird.
Like, over 10 years.
It's quite strange, really, because what I've noticed when we had a slight break was my Dreamcast was what I said was my favourite system. Yeah, but almost every game I've mentioned today was on the Game Boy or Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. Well, it better be the case. You're defending Nintendo, Glenn, Sega.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. Perhaps I've switched tact.
I think but we didn't have a really strong subject today. We kind of just thought we'd have a general chat. So I think we've all just kind of fell off and just talked about
I don't really have anything. No, I can't think of anything offhand Sega that really competes with Pokemon. So,
well, likewise, Sony's. I can't think of anything with those kind of legs. Jesus Christ. It's
but what I think interesting was that
what a franchise.
It kind of, as collectors or sellers, as me and you argue, is you could actually buy an older Pokemon game probably for £15 not long ago. Since they've rebranded the franchise and brought it back out, probably 5 to 10 years ago, those games have tripled in value.
I can sell a working battery Pokemon blue, red, yellow, gold, silver and gold, just a bit more. They can go for about 45 to 50 quid for a good condition cartridge. I mean, the cartridge, the label could be a bit
That's
scratchy.
Game Boy, isn't it?
Regular Game Boy. I mean, usually about up to 50 quid for gold and silver, and be about 40-ish for any of the other three. You know?
I mean, don't even get me started on the cards themselves.
Yeah.
The actual cards you can buy. I mean, the cost of them.
Some stuff's like life changing now, isn't it?
Well, it's not. I just my daughter does collect them still, and just to buy certain packs, as a pack, it's expensive.
Do you know?
And it's just but I bought some for her 18th birthday, which is really, that's just what she wanted. Shining Force, I think it was.
Yeah.
But you know what? I've never seen her so excited to actually open the cards to see what she got.
Do you know what's sad though, Jamie? I think it's like, if you were just sticking with the cards for a second and not even the games or the price of some of the oldest games, but it wouldn't be a very approachable hobby now for someone just literally coming in from the start, just because you're talking about such high prices.
I think it is
to
if
get
you don't
in
want
there. Yeah.
Logan started it a few years ago. He's got quite a few good cards and that. Like he's still got them all in the binder. He doesn't do it now. He's grew out of it.
You're never going to be able to retain certain stuff because the prices are.
You can't
have to be a rich man to
back
get
and
it.
get the originals, but there is still starting points for people to start collecting because the franchise has grown so much. There's new packs that come out.
If you could maybe see it, I'm just going to collect certain aspects of it.
No, I don't. My daughter collects the cards.
Well, if we're still going to get up here for a special for Christmas, I'll get Logan to bring his pack along because if there's anything she wants to buy off me, we'd be more than happy to sell it. Because it's just sat there now, and we've spent tons of money on it for him, like all the cards.
Well, I mean, the frightening thing is that you probably went into a playground with a Series 1 Charizard, which is now...
I'd be bringing a conga. Fuck that.
Whereas mint condition now, we see Logan Paul and Jake Paul, and he's worth a fortune. So there are crazy stuff out there, but I wouldn't say you can't get into it because you can still go into a shop and you can buy a starter pack.
Yeah,
if you could see it, I'm just going to collect maybe certain parts of the franchise. So that's going to be what I want.
The later ones,
maybe just see it because it's such a massive thing that's gone on for so many years with so many different sort of aspects and parts of it. And that I'd be saying, well, maybe if I just collect, like you say, just that set of cards because they're related to that.
I don't think. I also think that it's with gaming in general. Would someone younger put the Game Boy game in and play it? No. But they re-released it on the DS, which is what you asked me. So they would probably more want the cards that relate to the game they're playing. Yeah. So therefore it wouldn't cost them money. That's what I would think. But I mean,
makes sense,
kind of off subject really.
You've got to pay them more modern stuff, you just want the cards.
Yeah, as a game, I just hoped I could explain that it's still a very good game at the core of it.
Yeah, talking about the original RPGs.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're nearly coming to the close here, right?
We've got your...
But I just want to... I'm originally, folks, the plan was to kind of do this in rounds and just pit our best games against each of us. But we changed it last minute, which is for the best, really.
I think so. It's a chat. It's a chat.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm not going to absolutely unleash a massive torrent of absolute playground bullying on you now, because I haven't mentioned any of mine at all. And I'm going to start with first, just Glenn, remind us how many Grand Theft Auto games came out on Sega consoles?
There was a game called Crime Wave that looked a bit like Grand Theft Auto.
Right, moving on. Jamie, Grand Theft Auto on Nintendo?
There is a Grand Theft Auto on the Nintendo Game Boy.
Chinatown
Wars.
He is cheating though, bear in mind, because not one of his mentioned franchises is actually a Sony franchise.
What system is GTA synonymous with? Think of Grand Theft Auto 3.
Game changer. There was there on the Game Boy Advance as well. Game Boy.
I was GTA Advance on the Game Boy Advance.
And on colour there was a GTA. But Chinatown Wars though was specific to Nintendo.
Initially,
And a
then
good
it came
game.
out on PSP.
And then it also came out on mobile.
Yeah,
Sega Saturn had Core City of Angels. There was like criminals and that.
I'm proud, happy for you, Glenn.
It came out on the PlayStation as well.
An absolute banger, and
Hey, clown face.
And speaking of, GTA is probably a sore subject for many people right now, because as of today, November the 7th, it's just been announced that GTA 6 has been put back to November 2026.
What I'm interested in is they may remake GT4, I've heard.
Yes, absolutely true, mate. However, if just for a bit of information for everyone, if you're into the modern scene at all, GTA 4 Original has just received a
I saw that.
And it looks real.
Yeah, amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable.
It's still early days. They're still working on some of the internal lighting and
PS3
stuff.
360 GTA 4, wasn't it?
Yes.
I actually prefer GTA. So
because it makes a big
5 obviously is a massive hit, but I wasn't a fan of the 3 stories.
So let me just tell you this, because the only GTA game I've ever played through and fully enjoyed was 5 because of the stories. Now, don't get us wrong, Nico Bellic was amazing in 4, one of the best characters in the GTA franchise.
So the only one for me was Vice City.
But I loved the more linearity of 5.
Right.
I just preferred it.
Well, basically, his Vice City blew me away. I went to my friend's house. He had a PlayStation.
Vice City was the music alone.
It was just
mind-blowing.
It was my era. The music, the feel of it, getting in a Ferrari Testarossa. You know, it had the whole Scarface scenario. And that, to me, that game...
See, I was going
GTA 3 didn't do that for me, but Vice City did.
Yeah.
And I've played it many times. Just like, I could just sit there and drive a car around listening to the radio stations.
Yeah.
It was all classic. I say classic.
And it had a
classic
twist.
licensed music on it. You know, from great bands and that from the 80s and that.
And let us just, hurt a bit more here. So, Jamie, remind us, how many Tomb Raiders on a Nintendo console?
It depends if you like Tomb Raider.
There was a few on the GBA, I think.
Yeah, but it depends if you like Tomb Raider.
Okay, well, Glenn, firstly,
we got
the Dreamcast got Last Revelations, I think, and Tomb Raider 1 on the Saturn, which was a terrible port.
Last Revelations.
But for me, right, Tomb Raider, synonymous again with PlayStation.
It is.
Yeah, if you disagree, then you should probably end this podcast now.
But I tried to replay that, though, on Steam. I didn't like it.
Well, let me just say, right, I'm not talking about the first 4, 5, 6 Tomb Raider games. I'm talking about the Survival Trilogy, because I absolutely love those 3 games.
What about Uncharted?
I love Uncharted, but I prefer Tomb Raider.
Right.
I love Nathan Drake. I think he's cool as shit. But I just... Tomb Raider's got the bow and arrow, and Lara Croft, especially the first hour and a half or so of the first Tomb Raider, like the new Tomb Raider, the first of the Survival Trilogy. It's like, I love how raw it is.
Okay.
Don't get us wrong, after like an hour and a half, she becomes an unstoppable Terminator, which is just unrealistic. But it's just, that trilogy is absolutely immense. Uncharted hasn't got what Tomb Raider has. It's weird for me. It's hard to put my finger on.
I didn't really play it.
Tomb Raider, at least that is also an ongoing series still as well, though.
There's a new one coming soon.
I didn't really play it. I had it for sure because I was a PlayStation 1 boy, like everyone was.
The PlayStation 1 game was really good, but believe me, if you want to play a proper good action game where you feel like you're up against it, sometimes the new Survival Trilogy, like the latest Survival Trilogy, was immense.
I just found when I replayed it, downloaded the collection on Steam, I put it on and I thought, this is not aged well.
They don't hold up well, mate.
No. Like to me, they made an immense environment for you to explore, and at the time that was groundbreaking. But it didn't do a lot for me when I replayed it.
It did a lot for gaming, but it didn't do a lot for me either. Personally, back in the day, the first one.
I think a lot of it though was down to the fact that you've got a female protagonist, a really important, really well liked female protagonist in the game, which was such an early.
Lara Croft
at that time still in 1996, I mean,
100%.
I mean, I understand a lot of it was like the sexual aspect for teenage boys, people trying to
and they leaned into that for a long time.
It did. That's fair enough. At the end of the day, you got more fans because of it in some cases.
It sold consoles.
It did, but the fact is, that should
it was still a solid game.
Such an early example of a female protagonist.
You would not get away with it now.
No, I'm trying to think of like a kind of slow exploratory game, and But we touched on Myst before.
Yeah.
That
Point and click adventure, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's that in the way Tomb Raider, apart from fighting a few tigers and stuff, like it was. Oh, I'll just bring up Indiana Jones, so it's simple, really.
Well, this is where
there was going to be Neo protagonist, wasn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah, this is where the survival trilogy comes in because it's you fight a hell of a lot more enemies than you do in the original like Tomb Raider games, but you're armed with a bow and arrow. That's really good to use. Don't have one of them in Uncharted.
What about Turok? From me,
well, Turok's definitely got a bow and arrow, but it's a lot gorier than Tomb Raider. Well, actually, it's not. Jesus, the Tomb Raider survival trilogy, Lara gets killed in some awful ways.
Have you played the new Indiana Jones?
I haven't yet, but it's
fantastic.
Yeah,
honestly, it just makes you feel the voice acting's unbelievable.
Machine Games, they've never made a dud yet. Wolfenstein, and that's absolutely amazing.
It's brilliant. The voice acting is unbelievable, and you do feel like you're Indiana Jones. Now, I always wanted Tomb Raider to make me feel like that.
If I think of Indiana Jones game for me, I just think of Temple of Doom in the arcade.
Do you know what's really good with Tomb Raider? The combat is very satisfying, but the bits where you're climbing and exploring done really, really well. And I think that's Uncharted makes too much use of the yellow trope. You know, so anything's yellow that you can climb.
When you're climbing stuff and you're exploring, does it remind you of Breath of Wild at all?
Yes, but Breath of the Wild, I never felt in peril until it rained. Because then I'll slide down.
I was tongue-in-cheek there because I remember climbing mountains in that and then having to glide. So
yeah, and then when it rained, you're screwed. But no, there's loads of moments where you it's not like a quick time event as such, but you'll have to react really quickly and fire put your ice pick in or something like that. Or
do you know another game that springs to mind? It's nothing to do with Nintendo. Is Dishonored.
I've never actually played any of them, but I know of them.
Yeah, they're not a bad game.
Yeah,
obviously the Assassin's Creed series, which you probably don't have, but that is
I hate Assassin's Creed.
I don't like it.
I love Prince of Persia. Assassin's Creed was a poor man's Prince of Persia.
Too many.
I absolutely wanted to play Assassin's Creed because people tell me how great it is. And when I played it...
You can't even jump, it does it itself.
I didn't really like it.
No, I don't.
But, yeah, there you go.
I get it, I understand it, but it's another one of those games that suffer from too much bloat as well, especially the later ones. But let's finish this show out today with a game that neither of you can compete with in any way, because you've got nothing, apart from Jamie, who's got one on the GameCube, which is almost as good. Metal Gear Solid, everyone?
I've still got Crackdown.
Well,
it's got elements of it.
Yeah, the franchise itself is I don't really class the early ones because it wasn't what I played, but when I had a PS1,
Metal Gear Solid.
How
many times did you finish it?
Several times. It was just the voice acting.
Oh man,
the stories, the plot twists. The enemies, there was nothing bad about
it. Two episodes ago, right, we talked about I talked mainly about the arcade and the experience machines and stuff like that. For me, Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PlayStation was even bigger moment than what those. That first time playing Ridge Racer in an arcade, it was bigger than that.
I remember seeing previews of MGS for the first time and that and the stuff that people were just going ballistic over it.
The thing is, the screenshots and everything didn't make it something that I wanted to play. No. It didn't look enticing at all. Ooh. It wasn't until that disc was in your drive and the game fired up. You're like, shit, I'm watching a film. Actually, I'm playing a film.
Well, the thing is, I had friends that were not gamers, are not gamers right now. And that game came out, and they bought a PlayStation to play it.
And you would, in fairness.
And they don't play games now. They probably never played another game in their life. But at that time, they bought that. And with the PS, for me, I had Metal Gear, I had Gran Turismo, and I had Final Fantasy. And there were loads of good games on that machine. But those three games, or their franchises in themselves, were enough to make me buy that computer.
See, my first experience with Metal Gear, I've got to mention, is actually the NES game. We talked about it before.
The poor man's Metal Gear original.
It is.
The MSX version was
it is actually. It could be considered the slightly poor man's version because obviously the MSX computer was the original version. But I enjoyed that game. I played through and completed it all, and it was a good game and fun to play through. I remember phoning the Nintendo tips line, because I couldn't kill a boss called Arnold.
Yeah.
They were like, I can't do anything. I've got to get a rocket launcher. Where's a rocket launcher? Oh, it's hidden in these bloody.
So any younger
boxes.
listeners here, you'd either look in a magazine to work out what it was. You might get a
premium.
You might get a cheat code, which was great, but by then some of them had gone. But everyone loved a cheat code where you'd write into a magazine. But if not, there was a hotline you could phone.
And it was expensive. I got the book, the Metal Gear book as well. I had a storybook. And here's the thing. Do you want to know what his real name is according to the storybook for the NES? It's Justin Haley.
Is it?
Justin Haley.
Has anyone ever played the new remake? The Snake Eater remake?
The new one, Delta.
Yeah.
No. And the reason why is because I'm a cheapskate. I'm waiting for it to either come out free on PlayStation Plus.
On Steam.
Bear in mind, Silent Hill 2 just dropped. So it will happen. Or get it cheaper on Steam, yeah.
Yeah, I'd quite like to play that.
I don't know how to play it, but I will play it.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. Yeah, same as you. I mean, what I would say is you had Metal Gear, followed by Metal Gear 2, which cinematically was fantastic, but as a game didn't play that well.
Yeah.
And then Metal Gear 3 played much better.
I think Metal Gear Solid 2 played really well, but the story got a bit
linear.
Off the
Didn't it put a lot of people off though because of the riding thing?
But I think looking back now, I can get over that.
Yeah.
But back then it was what
the
hell?
So what I would say
he became a great character. He's all right.
You brought up big hitters like Resident Evil, and then each of those games, though, if the camera angle was wrong, it made it a difficult game to play. Yeah. And I think Metal Gear 2, the camera angle you used weren't that great. And I didn't like that. Whereas Resident Evil, it worked. So you go into a room or a scenario, and the way the camera angle...
Weren't there? Some of them would be like, as though it was the rat view, the rat cam. Like you'd be... yourself would be walking towards the camera, but you'd be lower down, so the feet's like... That's a funny angle, but nearly all the time it would have a reason, like maybe there's an object hidden in the top corner or something. Or there's
I would say that Resident Evil, the way they did that, where the camera was positioned, added to the atmosphere of the game.
Yeah.
They got it, they nailed it.
I'd have lost something now on the new ones, I think, compared to what they had on the first three, even Code Veronica to an extent as well.
Yeah.
But just
anyway,
coming back to the tie-up.
Absolute banger.
So, Metal Gear, right? I've got to say this. I bought it on the PlayStation probably a year after it came out because I couldn't afford it at the start.
Did you get VR missions?
It came with VR missions. There was a visual case.
That's right.
So I finished it 3 times so I could get the bandana and there was something else. Yeah, infinite ammo and camouflage.
Didn't affect the wolves or something? Wasn't there something that affect the wolves?
Yeah, there was.
They wouldn't hurt you if you had was it covered in piss? Did you piss on something?
Like that, there was something you could do with the wolves. The wolves fell in love with you if you had something.
Right. It was hurt. It was sniper wolves.
Yeah,
scarf or something. Right.
So I've played it through every possible version on PlayStation, every possible completion on PlayStation 1 to unlock everything. Then about 2 years later, I got it on the PC. Did it all over again 3 or 4 times.
That's the mark of a good game, though, right?
And then I finished the Metal Gear on the GameCube a couple of times as well, which isn't as good because it's too much CG, too much FMV. But I'll be honest, right? I still get the itch because I know the Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection's there. I still get the itch to buy that so I can go back and play through it.
So the one on the PSP Vita is supposed to be very good.
Is that the one?
Are you talking about 2 and 3?
No, it's a completely separate game.
Resurgence? Have I said that right?
You're talking about PSP. You're talking about Peace Walker.
Peace Walker.
That's a really good game.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a great game.
Isn't Raiden the main character in that?
No, it's still Snake Eyes.
It's Snake, but that is supposed to be a very
It's an excellent game. It's more like Metal Gear Solid 5 in a way. It's like
and also,
I
played the prequel for 5 because that came out. Do you remember? It's a
Ground Zeroes,
small
excellent.
disc. Again, but that was excellent. You were in a compound. It took me back to 1.
Well, funny you mentioned. Well, here's something when I talk about 1, I talk about 1. Here we're going again. But there was a do I call it a conversion? Not really a conversion, but there was a version of Metal Gear Solid for the the Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
And it used basically the original Metal Gear's viewpoint in it, which I think that's great that you wouldn't try and do a 3D game and make a total mess, like we're going to do with Resident Evil on GBC. Just copy the original Metal Gear style and put the story into that, that style of play. You know what I mean?
So could we agree then that actually Metal Gear first started on Nintendo?
Yes. No, MSX.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So yes, you're not getting that
so
one,
you
Jimmy.
can still claim it then.
You're not getting that. Anyways, we're talking about Metal Gear Solid, different series. But anyway, yes, I still have an itch. I still have an itch.
Me too.
Every day. When I wake up in the morning pitching a tent, it's not for my wife, it's for Metal Gear. And on that
hiding in a box.
And on that bombshell, I think we should end because we're probably sharing too much now.
But it's fun.
Thanks, everyone. As always, please, if you've got this far, then you must have found something you enjoyed about us. Please leave us a review on whatever platform you're watching or listening to us to. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel if that's not what you're watching right now. You might enjoy some of our Let's Plays or playthroughs or something like that.
We've got more coming up.
We'll have. I'm sure you'll find something you can enjoy. Crackdown's already there.
Crackdown, Did we do a Crackdown arcade?
Yeah.
That's something.
Didn't I?
Hey, thanks again, everyone. Take care. Don't forget to leave us a review. See you next time.
Good night. God
Thanks,
bless.
guys.
Bye now.